The last census showed 19.3% of the U.S. population lives in rural America, but those numbers are prior to 2020. For rural towns across the country, there's a constant effort to revitalize the communities, but the biggest challenge is often budgets. As Andrew McCrae tells us this weekend in Farming the Countryside, one Iowa community found a way to turn big dreams into a big boon for their small town.
Turn back the clock about a decade ago, and Osage, Iowa had many groups with several needs. The local pool was in dire need of repair. Community members wanted an auditorium for theater and musical events. The local Ag Society desired a building to host events on the fairgrounds. There were many needs for new facilities.
Everybody was vying for private funds to build their project. And it became apparent to those of us that were kind of on the firing line that nobody was going to be successful.
Steve Cooper is the mayor of Osage, Iowa. He says the groups knew they couldn't all get what they wanted immediately. There were simply too many needs and not enough private funds to go around. Someone suggested they band together and perhaps create a facility that included everything they needed. An architect was hired to design a plan.
He came up with a cost at that time, and this is without redoing the outdoor pool. He came up with a cost of around $12.5 million. And when that figure surfaced, I thought, well, it was a good try.
That amount of money in a town of just over 3,000 people was more than anyone thought could be raised. The local Osage Education Foundation heard about the plan and the price tag. Perhaps they could share the story with those at the alumni banquet, since it attracts people from near and far. The message resonated, and Steve was amazed by the giving. $7.5 million.
We have a list of people that were donors to this, and some of them gave as little as $10. But, it just seemed like everybody wanted to be a part of this.
What resulted is the Cedar River Complex. It includes an indoor pool, fitness center, walking track, basketball courts, 600-seat theater, museum, and more.
This has not been a burden on anybody's taxes. This facility has been able to not only get built, but has been able to maintain sustainability on its own.
About 2,400 people have memberships for the pool and fitness center. The 600-seat theater, which is part of the same complex, is also quite a draw.
We now have the Cedar Summer Stock Theater, which is mostly aspiring college students that like theater and drama.
The 4 Broadway-style shows produced each year bring people from across the country. Perhaps the biggest impact is what the CRC has done for the present and future of this community.
I hear from people that say that they move back because of, not just because of the CRC, but just because of the attitude of the community and wanting to be in their hometown.
Every small town has its opportunities and challenges. For residents of this area, it took people coming together and even connecting with those who had ties from the past to make this place a reality. And because they did, it makes it a great place to call home. Traveling the countryside in Osage, Iowa, I'm Andrew McCrae.
Thanks, Andrew. And if you'd like to learn more about how Osage, Iowa was able to bring organizations together to build this impressive complex and perhaps how you could make it happen where you live, this topic is show number 255, and you can find it at farmingthecountryside.com or look for Farming the Countryside on your favorite podcast. Well, up next, are ports the reason Russia initially invaded Ukraine? It's a viewer question coming up in customer support right after the break.